Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we break down the week in NBA and WNBA action. As a reminder, you can hear this podcast the day before it can be seen on YouTube by checking out Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith. How we doing?
Doing good. Ad randomly started playing in my headset, so if I had a bewildered look, that was that. But doing pretty good. It's a very busy time for sure, June. And I think I've warned this podcast before, but yeah, busy time for June, and of course, what happens the week I have two Reds games and a bachelor trip to go on to? I start getting some allergies. So thankfully, it seems like the trending is I'll be off the IR by Monday or Tuesday, but we'll definitely have to wait and see on that. But other than that, outstanding series. I watched Obsession. Oh my god, I don't want to
I
be in
need
a
to see it.
relationship for 5 years. Like that scared the shit out of me. But outstanding movie for sure. But other than that, it's been just watching hoops. I've been really locked in on the Spurs Thunder series, not as locked in on the Cavs Knicks series, but I sure can talk about it and ready to talk some ball. And WNBA's had some really fun action to start.
Yeah, they definitely have not disappointed to start, but conference finals have been a lot of fun to watch. I'm about to get back to work after almost a month off. My month is almost done, so excited to get back to some work and some regular everyday living. Have my second sty in about a month, so don't know what's going on there. Would like to figure that out, but if that's
Yeah.
the worst problem I have, I'm living a pretty good life right now, so I can't complain too much.
If it
But
helps,
yeah,
I didn't even notice it until you said it.
yeah, not fun, but we go on, we move, and we will move on to our storylines for this week. Another exciting week in pro hoops. Obviously, majorly focused on the conference finals. Let's start with the conference finals. That seems like it ended a month ago. We'll go with the Cavs and the Knicks. What'd you notice in that series?
Okay. I don't know why every time I was clicking the box score for that, and now I have an
Mm-hmm.
ad that just won't shut up. Sorry. It's really loud and it's annoying, but we got it now. Um, so for the Cavs and the Knicks, that was a series that existed. Game 1, I thought, "Hey, this might be cinema. This might be going
Mm-hmm.
7 games." And then it was just like the Knicks flipped a switch in that game, and they never flipped it back, and the Cavs never came to. So I mean, game 4 was just an absolute abomination of a performance. The Cavs were just done. I can't say I fully blame them,
Right.
but really, this series was lost in that first game. The Cavs led by over 20 points and absolutely blew that lead to the Knicks. The Knicks have been an absolute buzzsaw, though, in all fairness, and it's really one of those kind of the same conversations that was had about the Pacers was, well, the Pacers played all these not necessarily injured teams because I think pretty much all of them were healthy. Maybe there was missing. Most of them had their best player at least
Yeah.
on that run, but it was like, but really, we didn't expect any of those teams to light a candle to the Thunder. So we're kind of in that same area with the Knicks, where the Cavs were healthy, but we really didn't hold them in that highest standard. Shout out the Cavs for making it this far. But really, the hardest challenge they've had in a series in a playoff run that they've gone up against Joel Embiid and obviously Donovan Mitchell. Biggest challenge they've had is CJ McCollum for 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's just a little bit of it. Just felt like the Knicks had to get the engine going, and now that they have the engine going, like it is a very very tough out. And I really wonder about this week off they've had. Will it
Mm.
rejuvenate them? Or will it's the rust over rest conversation we have every time in the
Yeah.
playoffs. It did seem to be kind of a problem in the first game against the Cavs. I don't think the Spurs will be as friendly as the Cavs were and give them that 26-point lead back. So I think that's a pretty big concern for the Knicks when you look at that pattern, that history that we now have, that data point from a series where they had a lot more rest than the Cavs did. The Cavs came out firing, but yeah, I'll throw it back to you on your thoughts on this series. That's really all I have is the implications that a sweep has on this absolutely red hot Spurs team
Yeah.
that has kind of just seemingly gotten better throughout the playoffs. Seems like every series they kind of hit a little wall. Even the Timberwolves, it's like, or sorry, even the Blazers, they kind of hit a wall, and they kind of just get on the other side of that wall, just break through that wall, and come out on top.
Yeah, the Knicks, they have been excellent as we've seen in closeout games. They have not been great to start series. So again, like you said, the Spurs will not be as friendly as the Cavs. Cavs dominated game one, well, for 40 minutes. Unfortunately, in the pros, they played 48 minutes. So they gave up a 22-point lead the last 8 minutes. Why? James Harden, pure and simple. Six turnovers in that game, and he basically dribbled the air out of the ball the last 8 minutes while Donovan Mitchell sat in the corner, something Kenny Atkinson should be fired for. But as we've already seen now, he will not be. So that's interesting. Game two, the Knicks led basically the whole way on the same 8 minute game plan that they had in the end of game one. If James Harden is in front of you, go score. And that's what they did in game two. It didn't help that the Cavs shot 9 of 35 from three, but I think that's kind of expected after a historic collapse. Um, how long did the Cavs lead in game three? None of it. Surprise, surprise. Knicks led by as much as 17. Cavs shot 12 of 41 from three, so a great follow up to the abysmal shooting they had in game two.
Impressive.
Another game with more turnovers and assists for Mr. Harden. And Mikal Bridges, 22 points on 11-15 shooting. He's been phenomenal. We won't talk about
Yeah.
how the Cavs gave up in the final minutes of that game, and Jalen Brunson literally dribbled around the whole team like it was a dead ball situation for a layup. And then game four, as you talked about, just ugly. 37-point win for the Knicks. Each starter had 5+ assists, so they were moving that ball. I don't know if I've ever seen quite a ball movement stat like that, but very impressive for them to be able to share the wealth like that. And again, just beating a dead horse at this point. James Harden was 2 for 8, 0 for 6 from deep, and had 5 turnovers compared to 2 assists. And now we have Donovan Mitchell talking about, I've won in life. I don't really care about basketball at this point. We may win a championship, we may not. Um, do you,
Valid
do you
reaction.
any idea where the Cavs go from here?
I don't. They're in that weird spot of like they have a team that even running it back next year, they could make an Eastern Conference Finals. There's a world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would happen, but they could. But then on the other end of it, they could just as easily be a first round exit. And it's like you have a great team, but you don't have a team that's going to win a championship. And I don't see the path to winning a championship. I don't think James Harden certainly wasn't the answer. James Harden, I guess, technically got you to at least the conference finals, and if that's what your goal is, great. You've done it. I think that this is we have just witnessed the peak of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't see any room for growth. Donovan Mitchell is an outstanding player, but he's not going to. He's what? He's probably I don't know if he's top 10, but he's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's in that conversation for sure. Top 10 player in the league, Donovan Mitchell, and but he's kind of hit his ceiling, a
Mm-hmm.
really high ceiling, an All NBA ceiling. He needs some growth beside him. James Harden's not going to get any better. Evan Mobley can definitely get better, but I don't really think he is going to get better. I think we've seen what he is as a player, and it is a great player, but he just doesn't have that second guy, especially in the playoffs. Harden was that second guy throughout the regular season when he came in, but you know what happens when he gets to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when Sam Merrill is winning you closeout games, like you got issues. So I don't. If you were to compare them to the Raptors, I would be more willing to put stock in the Raptors making a run next season than I would the Cavs because the Raptors had a really impressive playoff run. They're retaining most of their players. Most of their players are young and can still grow. And I just see a lot more hope in that team as opposed to this Cavs team. I couldn't tell you the first thing of what they should do. I think maybe an idea is to move on uh, maybe an idea is to move on from Donovan Mitchell, but I'm not going to go there quite yet. I don't really know if that is an option at this point with his contract, but another option is to maybe move Jared Allen and try to
Mm-hmm.
see what that does. Not that he had a really notable playoff one way or the other, but I just feel like he kind of has always felt like the odd man out that they've needed to cut off, and just try to get some value out of him. I think they could definitely benefit from a deeper bench. Shout out Sam Merrill, he did his thing, but Max Struess is a solid piece. Like it's not that their bench is even that bad, but sometimes just addition by subtraction. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be the GM of the Cavs, that's for sure. I think the GM of the Cavs literally left. He went to the
Yeah,
Sixers. So yeah, GM of the Cavs
he
didn't
didn't
want to
want to
be
be
GM of the
either. Yeah,
Cavs.
yeah. I also do not have any answers really that would be of help to the Cavs because I think all options have to be on the table besides trading Donovan Mitchell. I think he's your cornerstone right now because I don't know that there's many other ones going to Cleveland. Uh, Maybe a 41-year-old one, but I think that dream is also lost too. We will see, but I don't think it's happening. But yeah, I think all options have to be on the table. But congratulations to the Knicks because I didn't say that enough in my recap. Uh, been drinking the Kool Aid for a long time, and finally it's paying off.
Mhm.
They finally have come to fruition of the team that we have thought they could be for the last 3 or 4 seasons. It seems like friendship wins out, and I am excited to see how they perform in the finals. But the other
Mhm.
team in the finals, the San Antonio
Yeah.
Spurs, who beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7. What'd you notice from the series?
Just what I was kind of alluding to earlier, that the Spurs in their first playoff run find themselves in the finals with it's still incredibly young, incredibly stacked team that feels like as they have gone on, have gotten better with each series. Each series, they have kind of hit a wall. They lost a game to the Trailblazers. We all knew they were going to win that series, but there was still some headaches there. There were some headaches in the Timberwolves series, but they they went down 3-2 to the Thunder here, and each time they pushed through the adversity looking like a better team than they were at the start of the series for me. Um, and I think the key one is Stephon Castle. He only
Mm,
had 6 turnovers, which is still a lot, but down from what he was doing at the start of this series. De'Aaron Fox coming back helped a lot with that. You saw, him take over control. It was weird hearing him be called a wily vet. I'm like, "Yeah, he is, but boy, he feels like he shouldn't be." But
yeah,
kudos to De'Aaron Fox, really kinda hitting a really interesting role on this team. Like, we're used to him having to basically carry the Kings around everywhere and just being able to, you know, play into that more point guard role and be just have spacing, not have to worry about getting the best guard. Not that he had a flashy game or anything, but just something I noticed throughout this series. I really just love seeing De'Aaron Fox playing winning basketball. It's really nice to see. Julian Champagne, Penny, what a outstanding story. What a
yeah,
great series. Low key, like a Danny Green kind of figure for this team,
for
dare I
sure. Yeah,
say. Like, maybe it's because it's on the Spurs, but I feel like he's just like that X factor guy that his main, I mean, 20 points, 6 field goals, all 6 of those being threes. But just when he's on, this team is such a better team. But it was really a team effort. Like Wemby led the way with 22, but Champagne had 20. Stephon Castle had 16, and that's obviously when this team's at their best. Wemby was aggressive early on, but then the rest of the
mm,
team filled in where they needed to, and the defense is this is the best defense I've ever seen a team play against this Thunder team. Like they really just kind of figured it out how to kind of lock up the Thunder or shut off the water as much as they can. Like the Thunder are still an outstanding team and they kept this game close. But when the key stops needed to happen, they had that. There was some questionable shot taking by the Thunder for sure. Shea was the best player, I guess, on the floor. People are saying on the floor. 35 points. I'll give him that. He was the best player on the
he
floor
was.
in this
Yeah,
game. But when it came down to it, at the end of the game, I didn't really care for his shot selection. I think it got to a point where the Thunder or the Spurs kind of figured out how to guard him without him being able to foul. I mean, he still had 11 free throws, so obviously not that crazy, but it, they were able to force him into some shots, and it's like he's trying to foul bait and he can't. And he's like going into the shot expecting that. So then he has to realize like, oh, I gotta actually take a shot here. I remember one of the threes he took late in the game. I was like, if you would have just actually taken a three there, you would have been great. But um yeah, it's obviously Shea's legacy is just fine. He has this championship and
Yeah.
back-to-back MVPs. His public legacy will never be that good. He's just going to be one of the most hated players. It's Patrick Mahomes, basically,
Mhm.
of the NBA. But this is definitely an interesting one, and it's going to be, I think, the first chapter of what will be a very, very long, or hopefully very long, but very entertaining storybook between the Thunder and the Spurs. This is going to be some Lakers Celtics, Larry versus Magic, I think, level stuff here that we're going to be able to enjoy. I think this is history we're watching play out in front of us, so I'm really excited for it. And then they have to face the Pacers in the finals where they'll lose, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, very entertaining series. I think both teams did a very good job of wearing the stars down. Like the Thunder, I think did a great job of making Wemby very tired to where he just like by the end of the game he's not posting up because he can't. He's worn down. And on the other side, the Spurs did a great job of throwing so many looks at Shea that he just doesn't know what to do by the end of the game because he's the only option that's out there scoring. So
Shout out
I,
Case and Wallace.
that's true. That's true. Very, very solid for them in that fourth quarter because all the other starters were very bad besides him and SGA, and Casey Wallace was pretty bad until that fourth quarter. But
True.
anyways, um, yeah. So shout out to them for getting that done. A couple of things I wanted to highlight was Game One, maybe one of the best playoff games we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Uh, Shout out Wemby for 40 and 20, something that only has been done one other time in Spurs history. Not even Tim Duncan has done it, so that is quite a feat. Some players I wanted to highlight for the Thunder: Isaiah Hardenstein. In Game Two, he was completely the difference. Was he able to get away with some fouls? Sure, it's playoff basketball, though. You kind of want to see that, honestly. And he got to
Agreed.
a point to where he was hitting what seemed like 1,000% of those floaters over Wemby.
Mhm.
Don't know how he was doing it, but he made sure that he was not a liability on offense, and that was huge for them. Obviously, that double overtime game caught up with them. J Dub injury, Harper injury, and as you talked about, Castle 20 turnovers for the first two games. That was tough to watch, and it seemed like the young inexperience of the Spurs were going to lead to their demise. It ended up not, obviously, but uh, game three, you see a little bit of inexperience as they go up 15-0 and then start to get walked down by the experienced Thunder team. That Spurs team shot 10 of 40 after from three after they went up 15 to nothing. So tough game there. And then no J Dub and AJ in game four. Caruso, who had been phenomenal, had zero. Jalen Williams, Jared McCain, and Wiggins combined for 1 of 16 from three. And Wemby remembered he was allowed to score close to the basket, which was nice because he had 33 in that one. Games two and three, he struggled, like as we talked about, even getting looks in the paint. So shout out to him for doing that in game four. And then game five, the Thunder pull off the convincing win. Caruso is another person I wanted to shout out. Through game five, he was shooting 58% from deep. Those are Steph Curry numbers, and that's just insane that he was able to step up when SGA was doubled because that was the game plan for most of through game five was double SGA. So shout out for Caruso for stepping up. The unfortunate thing is they played 7 games, and Alex Caruso shot 2 for 9 in game six and game seven. But yeah, I think the most impressive thing for me is not how the Thunder fell apart, but how the Spurs rose to the occasion in their first playoff run, backs against the wall in their first elimination game in Game 6, 118-91 win. They forced SGA into 6 of 18 shooting, and Wemby had 28 and 10, and 18, 6 and 4 for Derek Harper. And then the bench besides Case and Wallace was bad for the Thunder game six. 4 for 18 from deep from them. And then game seven, fantastic for all the marbles. Spurs up early again as they were for most of this series. And then seemed like they were going to go get walked down one more time. Up double digits 3 times. SGA with double digit points in the second and the third quarter. But as we talked about, he was gassed by the end of that game. And the thing that stood out that you have to call out that was bad from the Thunder, Chet, how do you have 2 field goal attempts in all of game seven? When we
Ugh.
were at the start of your career talking about you are in those conversations with Wemby, people were adamant about that. You cannot
I mean,
get
even
your
at the
chain
beginning of this
snatched like that.
series, people still talking
Yeah.
about it.
You cannot get your chain snatched in that way and just not show up or not be aggressive whatsoever. Like
I,
the starters were in single digits until the fourth. And Wemby, shout out to the Spurs, they were nails even after Wemby got his fifth foul with 7:45 left. I just don't know how the starters played this bad in this game that was so important.
I'd rather Chet go 1 for 9 rather than 1 for 2. 1 for 2, that's a
Exactly.
confidence issue. That's a straight up confidence issue, and I could see how that could happen when you're playing against Wemby. Don't get me wrong, but play if you're really that guy, you need to figure it out. Like it's insane. But also, I got to give a shout out to Luke Cornett for
Hmm.
somebody that I made fun of for that contract, and got the. I mean, that was the equivalent of blocked by James for me.
Honestly, yeah.
But
Probably the best playoff block since then. I don't think that's
realistically,
an exaggeration at all.
that was absolutely insane. Of all people, 6 minutes in this game, by the way, and he he recorded that block. That was absolutely awesome. But shout out Luke Cornett for that. But circling back to Chet, yeah, I mean, I feel like I said it on this show, but I've kind of always felt that Chet has is really just a glorified role player, and he showed that. I've been waiting for him to prove me wrong, and he does do that in the regular season, but dog, it's the playoffs. When it comes to the
Hmm.
playoffs, we question whether you said it, a fifth option on this team. It's
Yeah.
that's disgusting. 2 attempts is I like I said, I'd rather go myself. I'd rather go 1 for 9, 1 for 10 than 1 for 2 because at least I tried to get some shots up. And then at that point, yeah, I'm gonna try and facilitate the ball. But putting up 2 shots, getting paid three. If, I remember it was like 40, 40, 40, 50, 50. So a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Over the next 5 years. I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh,
Cornette, we won't talk about how horrifically they were losing those Cornette minutes. He stepped up when they needed him to most. So shout out Cornette.
yeah, we don't
You
talk about the
mentioned
rest of the series for Cornette.
you mentioned Chet and these other things that just went wrong when they couldn't have for the Thunder. Are you worried, or do you think they just kind of run it back and think that like J Dub and AJ, if they're there, the series turns out to be different? I think it does, honestly. But
I do agree that AJ and Dub definitely make a difference in that. Does that mean I'm parading around the narrative that the Spurs are injury bowl champions? No, I'm not, because people like that are stupid.
right.
But um, regardless, I do think they make a huge difference in this. It's just 2 guys that were playing really great ball, especially AJ Mitchell. JW had been kind of fighting through injuries throughout the playoffs, but when he was in there, he was giving it his all for sure. Um, but I think it is a run it back scenario. I think the Thunder know that. This is probably the smartest front office in
Hmm.
all of basketball. So I think they know, give it another year. Hopefully y'all stay healthy next year, and you'll be right back in this situation against the Spurs, fully ammunition ready to go. So I do think this is a sit it out. Don't do anything too hasty. Chet is a great player. I think Chet is a much better player when he has people like AJ Mitchell and J Dub on the floor. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, they don't need to panic. Give it another year. If you're healthy next year and the same thing happens, Yeah, let's see if we can swap out that Chet contract. You got plenty of
Mhm.
picks to add with that, so you can get you a star for Chet. But at the end of the day, I don't. I think it'd be way too hasty. You just won a championship last year. I mean, we have seen teams like the Nuggets sit on their hands, so you never know. But I think the Thunder will be fine. I think it's a very different situation.
Yeah, I think it's a 60-win team that was one game away from the finals without two key rotation players. So I think they will be fine. Shout out to, excuse me, SGA for in the post game press conference saying, I am not going to be any part of this offseason. I'm going to let Sam Presti, the best GM to ever live, take care of this offseason. And I can't argue with that. Like, he's going to take care of it. And I don't know how many drastic moves are made or if any moves are made. But I think the right moves will be made, and sometimes that's not doing anything. So I think that's the
Mind
route
you,
the
this
Thunder will
team
go.
has 2 lottery picks.
That too, yeah. I don't think it's going to get worse for the Thunder. That's for sure. Yeah, but what an overall fantastic series. Something we hoped would live up to the hype. I think maybe even exceeded it. So, what a great series, and can't wait to see what these finals look like. Uh, Apologies to our viewers. WNBA storylines, I think we'll have to wait till next week, but we will
Yeah.
bring some back next week for sure. Needed to do an in depth retelling of that wonderful conference finals, if only on one side. But we will go ahead and move on to our WNBA power rankings, where we are going to rank our top three teams of the WNBA as it stands right now. Colton, who you got?
So at number 3, I have the Golden State Valkyrie, who currently have the second best record in the W. Great start, just had a really big win, 2-point win over the Fever. So it's been a really good start for the Valkyrie. They showed a lot of flashes in their first year as a team last year, and I think they're continuing to build on that this year. So um, I like the start they've had so far, and I think we're in a really weird spot in the WNBA where everyone's kinda sitting within a game of each other, so it's really hard
Hmm.
to point out, and I feel like everyone's kinda had their games against good teams and games against bad teams, so it's nobody's really, like, had a really tough schedule and still won, and nobody's really had a really easy schedule, and won out, so, kind of a murky start to the year, but I feel like the Valkyrie have gotten one of the better starts. The Dream have also gotten a really great start. Dream started
Hmm.
and it looks like they're getting better as it goes on. Angel Reese, they did lose to Minnesota, who I'll talk about in a second, but they did win that first game against Minnesota of the season. So, but Angel Reese had a really great game, 18 points, I think 10 boards, something like that. Um, Looks like she's starting to fit in better into her role there in Atlanta. And yeah, the Dream are looking like a force, top of the East right now, and I think they'll be up there for most of the season. And then lastly, Minnesota team I was gonna talk about in my overreactions if we had gotten to that. Um, Best record in the W, don't even have MVP caliber player Nafisa Collier, but they're just fine. They're doing just fine. To be fair, it's been a fairly easy start, but I mentioned they beat Atlanta, who I have number 2 in these power rankings, and everyone's just been balling. That their starters have been balling. The bench isn't necessarily um, going off. But if you think about it, when Collier comes back, one of those starters is going to have to go to the bench and provide a spark off that bench. So I think once that happens, the Lynx might just be the best team, team to beat once again. And that was my reaction. So I'll let that through a little bit. And also shout out to Olivia Miles, second overall pick, 15
Hmm.
points a game already. Kind of some hesitation on like why did she get the second overall pick? She's proven it right here, right now, on a playoff caliber team, the championship caliber team, with the way they've started off the year.
Yeah, she has been the best rookie, and it's not that close. But yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to the Lynx. You mentioned the easy schedule, but I don't think any schedule is easy when you're down your top player and arguably somebody who's going to be top three in MVP voting every single year. So shout out to them for still figuring it out because we were very concerned about that roster at the beginning
Mhm.
of the season. So, but yeah, they definitely make my list. But number three, we'll start with I have Atlanta 5-2, third in the league, and they have a different player that is top five in points per game in the league, rebounds per game, and assists per game. A different player at all three of those just means you have an all around great team. They also have two players top five in steals per game. Their only loss was to the Aces, and they were down 20 in that game and made it a 1 point game. And they also lost to the Lynx, who are further up on this list. Two teams that you should not be ashamed of losing to. So Atlanta's in the right spot and still playing without Brianna Jones. So don't know if she comes back at all this season after the surgery, but if she does, boy, is this team even more scary. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. Um, Second on my list is Minnesota, 6-2, first in the league, doing it without fee, fifth in points per game, second in steals, and first in field goal percentage, defying expectations, at least on our end, because I did not see this coming whatsoever. They lost everything that they had in the post and a whole lot of guards as well. Doesn't matter. That's just a well run organization, a well coached organization. And obviously, the veterans, even if they're not playing, are being a great support for the team, and they're playing just like they do every single year. But number one for me, it's still the Aces. The record might not seem the best. They're 4-3. They're sixth in the league right now, but they have Asia Wilson, so I don't think it's going to stay that way for very long. Uh, if you watch these games, I still think they're one of the most impressive teams in the league. They're second in points per game. And oh, that's Asia Wilson, second in points per game, first in blocks per game. Uh, but they also have Kennedy Carter, who is top five in field goal percentage and tops in the league in bench scoring. Alyssa Smith is taking a lot of pressure off of Asia Wilson to be the only person who can score in the post. And that has opened up Asia's perimeter game, something we thought she was human at. No longer the case. She is shooting 61% from deep now. Great. I didn't know she could get better, but she is second in the league now at 61%. Um, so if you have Asia Wilson fixing the only thing that was wrong with her game, uh, you got a scary team, and I don't think that will change very much.
Mhm.
And Jackie Young has played bad this whole season, so I don't expect that to stay the same either. So once she
Mhm.
figures out her footing and what's going on there, I think this team gets even scarier and makes quite a run, just like they did last season.
Can't argue with that. Yeah, it's looking like another MVP for Asia, huh?
Yeah, hopefully voter fatigue doesn't set in because she will run away maybe with goat by the end of it all. But anyways,
Mhm.
we will go ahead and move on to our NBA pick'em. Where what else? There's only one thing left to pick. It is
Mhm.
the final series that starts on Wednesday. Colton, what you got?
So the thing about this series is I could seriously see the Spurs just sweeping them in four, or I
Hmm.
could see this going to a game seven and either team wins. I just
Hmm.
don't know. This is the first real test of the Knicks, in my opinion, other than of course CJ McCollum. I will never let the world forget playoff CJ McCollum uh, on the Hawks in 2026. But
Big 26.
whew, this is their first real test. So I really, and then they're going up a team in the Spurs who have been through war, like it's just straight war. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like they had to knock off Ant. They had to go 7 games against the Thunder. Even the Blazers gave them a rough time. Like I just feel like they're so much more battle tested. Even though, yeah, the Knicks are the older team. I just think the Spurs are the all around better team, the all around. They just got so much more fight in them. You see how they reacted to making the conference finals. Like Wemby's just going. I just think it's there. I think it's in San Antonio. I think the Knicks will give them some good games, but I don't think it'll be very long. I think it'll be the Spurs in 5. I don't think the Knicks will win game 1. I think we just saw what happens in game 1 with the Knicks after they've been off for a week. So Give me the Spurs in 5. I get the Knicks taking one in the Garden. But and the Garden will be popping, but I don't think the Knicks are taking this one home. So give me the Spurs, but I could easily see this series being a lot more entertaining than I give it credit for. I'm not trying to sleep on it, but just the vibes I'm feeling.
Yeah, we talked about it before the show. I think this is definitely the more entertaining of the two series that we could have got, depending on the Western Conference Finals. I think OKC is a better version of what the Knicks want to do. So I'm glad the Spurs are taking them on. Both teams, they're very similar. So as you said, it could go either way. Both teams run four guards, wings, however you want to look at it, and a big. So I don't think offensive rebounding is going to be an issue. The Spurs definitely had a problem with that with OKC size and Wemby being the only size that they had. So I don't think that's as much of an issue, especially with Mitchell Robinson apparently going to play in game one, but I think he's going to be wearing a cast. So
Yeah.
don't know if he can be his normal effective self. One of the best role players in the league, in my opinion. But who's going to defend Wemby? That's my big question. Uh, Cat don't know if he's wearing down uh, Wemby as the Thunder were.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if Wemby can't find that energy, the series may get very interesting very quick. Knicks have been the hottest team, uh, obviously, but I think the Spurs winning in six. I think the guards and the size just end up being the difference for San Antonio. They've proven they're, like you said, battle tested, and their guards may be inexperienced numbers wise, but they haven't played like it for most of the playoffs, and I don't expect that to change here. Uh, I think it's going to be a great series. I think a lot of these games are going to be close. Game one, I expect maybe to be a blowout, but besides that, I think that's the only one that could have the potential of being a blowout. So very excited for it, but I think the Spurs in their first playoff run with this new era is going to end in a very exciting championship.
Wait,
And
how many games did you say?
Spurs in six.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the Knicks have been playing too well, I think, to put them down in five. But maybe I'm wrong.
Sure.
Maybe the Spurs just become overwhelming for them. But
I could see it being 2-2 at the end of the first 4 games
yeah,
because obviously Madison Square Garden in the finals is going to be ballistic, but
insane place to play. Yeah, as normal. But yeah, in the finals, it's going to be
but don't sleep on San
pandemonium.
Antonio. That place is
Also true.
just as
Yeah,
rocking, just as rocking.
we need the blue, pink, and orange court. That's what I want to see. That's
Yeah.
that's electric. Anytime they got that going on, I need that.
Bring the
Bring
nuns just in
bring the
case.
nuns out too. Yeah, exactly. Timothy Chalamet and the nuns. We'll be all right.
Just watch them going at it.
Yeah. But yeah, very excited for this series. Starts Wednesday. We will definitely have more on that in the next episode. But we will go ahead and move on to our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who you got?
I'm keeping it right here. Victor Wembanyama had an outstanding game one. Didn't have any stats jumping off the board other than the 30-point game, but just in general, Victor Wembanyama saved basketball, and I'm forever thankful. And Harrison Barnes, happy birthday yesterday.
Yeah,
Uh, both saved basketball together. Just beautiful scenes. Like I said, I just think it's beautiful storylines. Everyone's hating on the Thunder. We wanted to see the Spurs win, and the Spurs got it done. They had to fight for it, but they got it done. And yeah, shout out Wemby, my baller this week.
yeah. Harrison Barnes still getting it done at 34. I don't think we've seen anything like it. Um, but
He played.
Wembanyama, yeah, second
He had 3
second
minutes.
youngest to lead his team to the finals ever. That's in front of Mr. LeBron Raymond James. So shout out him for doing something this historic so soon in his career. Definitely want to shout out all the conference finals winners. They did it in pretty historic fashion. But my shooting star is AZ Fudd, who set a rookie record for most threes by a rookie in a quarter with five. And then in that same game, she tied the rookie record of threes in a game with seven. My bad, AZ. Still don't think you're the best rookie in the class, but if you can shoot like this with Enrique, Page, that team can be very scary. And I think they've proven that so far this year that they can compete with team like the Aces. So
Mhm.
they are very scary right now, and if that chemistry gets better, they're only going to get better. So shout out AZ. I was wrong. That's my bad. That's my fault.
I've been there. Mikal Bridges. I had that in my mind when we were talking about the Cavs. I was talking so much shit about you going into this series. I apologize. I love Mikal Bridges. That dude got me so much points in fantasy because he plays every game. I love Mikal Bridges. He had a really ugly first series, is all. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it was. He turned it around. He shut my ass up. Thank you for doing that, Mikal. Keep it up. Love your story, and let's let's keep
Yeah, Mikhail, we won't talk about the picks anymore. Don't worry.
going.
But that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Follow the show's YouTube at the CX Restricted Area. Thank you, Golden, for being on the show. Follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. Follow me on Twitter at The Real Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. Thank you all for listening and watching to a little bit of an extended episode. And until next week, like the Knicks playoff run, be smooth.